Today, we'll look at how to effectively combat one of the biggest threats to tomatoes, blight. A few humid days can turn your entire crop into a rotting mess. You need to start caring for your plants now to prevent blight from taking hold. So, how do you protect against it? Let's dive in. The blight that ruins your tomatoes is specific to tomatoes and potatoes, on which it is known as potato blight. It's one of the so-called false fungi, which are highly aggressive and can wipe out your crop in just a few days. Blight thrives in humid and relatively warm conditions. It spreads most commonly at temperatures around 20 degrees Celsius, 68 degrees Fahrenheit, and when air humidity is above 85%. If tomato leaves stay wet for extended periods, it's the perfect opportunity for blight. Potato blight spreads easily through wind, rain, water splashing from the soil, and even by our hands or tools. Once it appears on a plant, it spreads like wildfire. Symptoms of potato blight start with brown spots on leaves, later spreading to stems and fruits. These spots are irregular in shape and grow larger over time. A lighter or yellowish halo may form around them. Affected plants wilt quickly and fruits rot and fall off. Prevention starts with planning your garden beds. If you've already planted and didn't account for this, don't worry. I'll give you tips to fix or improve things during the season. Tomatoes need plenty of sun, ideally at least 6 to 8 hours daily. Good air circulation is just as important, and tomatoes aren't as sensitive to drafts as, say, peppers. If surrounding plants are too dense, like overgrown shrubs, prune them. In a greenhouse, place tomatoes near the doors. If they are farther back, ensure proper ventilation. Potting plants can be moved to a better spot anytime. If you have space around or under your tomatoes, companion planting can be a great helper. Planting certain herbs or flowers near tomatoes boosts their overall vitality. Basil, marigolds, and calendula works wonderfully. Avoid planting tomatoes near potatoes. They suffer from the same blight, and if one of crop gets infected, it easily spreads to the other. Keep them as far apart as possible. Choose varieties bred for better blight resistance. I've had success with the variety Crimson Crush F1. Wild tomatoes are also a safe bet. Early varieties ripen faster, reducing the chance of blight. I've tried varieties like Latach and Stupnické polní with good results. Small fruited varieties like cherry tomatoes are less prone to blight because their fruits grow and ripen quickly, and air circulates better among small fruits and leaves. On the other hand, large, fleshy tomatoes are generally more susceptible. Their fruits take longer to ripen and retain more water, which can promote blight spread on leaves and stems. Years ago, all my San Marzano tomatoes were completely destroyed by blight. It was a bad year for tomatoes overall, but we managed to save at least some of other varieties. You can't change varieties after planting, but I recommend harvesting promptly, especially large fruit ones, and not leaving fruits on the plant longer than necessary. Good airflow between plants reduces the risk of blight. This applies both outdoors and in greenhouses. I strongly recommend adequate spacing and avoiding planting too closely. For staked varieties, the ideal spacing is 50 to 70 centimeters, 20 to 27.5 inches between plants. If you plant it too closely, you can still fix it. Depending on your setup, try transplanting every other plant to another bed or into pots. Remove weaker plants entirely. A small harvest is better than none. The right soil is permeable and healthy. Heavy soils can be lightened during the season by adding compost, perlite, or sand. No-deck gardening, which involves adding compost, usually ensures permeable, healthy soil. A top layer of compost also acts as mulch. When planting tomatoes, you can boost plant vitality from the start by adding mature compost, well-rotten or granulated manure, or other enhancement like mycorrhizal fungi to the planting hole. If you miss this step, this can be added later, often through watering or other methods. A common way to grow tomatoes is with a single main stem, supported by a stake. This applies only to stake varieties. Bush varieties are usually left to grow without intervention. For stake tomatoes, tie the plant to a vertical support and remove all side shoots. Supports can be simple wooden stakes driven into the ground, metal spirals or netting. In a greenhouse, a taut string works well. When a tomato grows upright with the leaves off the ground, it gets better airflow and is more resistant. It's also easier for you to spot issues and work with supported plants. With this growing method, regularly pruning side shoots or pinching out sucker shoots that grow in the leaf axils between the main stem and leaves is crucial. If left, they become side shoots, making the plant bushier, reducing airflow and diverting energy from fruit production, which delays ripening. I cover how to identify and remove suckers properly in a separate video. Removing excess leaves further improves airflow. Pay special attention to leaves near the ground, as they are most at risk during watering, when water splashes from the soil, wetting the leaves and creating ideal conditions for blight. We have a separate video on removing tomato leaves, so check it out later. Any covering helps protect plants from rain. A roof overhang will do. Tomatoes in pots or containers on a covered balcony or terrace pergola are great. A greenhouse is ideal. Ensure the covering doesn't shade the plants and don't forget adequate watering. Proper care from planting to harvest is key and further reduces blight risk. Regular plant checks may sound tedious, but make garden inspections enjoyable while doing what's needed. Check tomatoes, ideally every other day, for symptoms. The sooner you spot early signs of blight, the easier it is to fight it and save your plants. Water tomatoes at the roots, never on the leaves. Wet leaves are a perfect environment for blight spores to spread. Water early in the morning so any moisture can dry during the day. Evening watering is riskier. Tomatoes don't like overwatering, so I recommend less frequent watering with larger amounts of water. The soil should slightly dry out between waterings. Mulching plays a big role here, reducing watering frequency and preventing soil crusting. A 5 cm to inch layer of compost, which is now the gardening basic method, handles this well. Healthy, strong, well-nourished tomatoes are far more likely to resist blight and other diseases. Fertilizing is a critical part of care that shouldn't be overlooked. Different ways to fertilize tomatoes are covered in another video, but a 5 cm to inch layer of compost gives you a solid foundation for the season. Keep beds and areas around plants generally clean. Remove all organic debris immediately to compost or trash. When pruning side shoots or removing leaves, ensure tools are clean and disinfected beforehand. Disinfect scissors again when moving between plants. I've had success with alcohol-based disinfectants, 60 to 70% alcohol, ideally in a spray form, available at pharmacies or online. They last a long time. Once tomatoes start fruiting, harvest promptly and regularly. The sooner you pick ripe fruits, the more energy the plant puts into new ones. This also reduces the risk of rot or fruit cracking, which can be entry points for infection. For an extra layer of protection against blight, consider preventive sprays. Apply them regularly, especially after rain or in warm, humid weather. Sprays typically work by forming a thin layer on leaves to block blight spores from penetrating plant tissue, changing the pH on leaf surfaces, making them less hospitable to blight, containing fungicides designed to combat fungal diseases like potato blight. Natural fungicides often contain copper or plant extract, for example horsetail nettle. They are suitable for organic gardening with lower environmental impact, but may be less effective. Chemical fungicides use synthetic active ingredients for fast, strong effects against blight. They're used when natural options fail or quick action is needed. Chemical fungicide sprays can be applied both preventively and during infection, but you must act quickly, as they may still be ineffective if applied too late. When using chemical sprays, take precautions and follow the manufacturer's instructions, as they can harm human health and the environment. Always check the waiting period before consuming treated fruits. Homemade sprays are very popular because you can make them from items at home. A common one is baking soda spray, typically mixed with water and a bit of oil or soap for better adhesion. A milk spray is also popular, ideally using unpasteurized milk in a 1:5 ratio with water. You can try a garlic infusion, which has natural antifungal properties. Even if you follow all prevention steps, blight can still appear. Acting quickly is critical. If you spot infected leaves, remove them immediately. Don't wait. Use disinfectant and be careful not to spread blight spores across the plant. Don't compost infected parts. If a plant is heavily affected, remove it entirely. Losing one plant is better than waiting and losing everything. If plants are heavily infected, preventive sprays, especially homemade or natural ones, usually won't suffice. In this case, there is no other way than use a chemical fungicide. Hi, I'm Markéta from Handilio, and I've been gardening for over 13 years. I share my experience in every video which Petr and I carefully prepare for you. With us, you'll grow your harvest without unnecessary effort and no chemicals. No more trial and error, give it a try. Now you know how to deal with tomato blight, but it's also good to know how to tackle slugs effectively. You can find that video on our channel, so go check it out.